Hey everyone, welcome to Geeking Out, the podcast in which we dive into the career journeys of some of the amazing humans in tech and geek out on topics like software development, DevOps, observability, reliability, and everything in between. I'm your host, Adriana Vilela, coming to you from Toronto, Canada. And geeking out with me today, I have Aakansha Priya. Welcome, Aakansha.
Hey Adriana, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm super great as well. That's my pleasure to be here on this awesome podcast. So really excited for the chat. Yeah.
Yay! All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's start with our icebreaker questions, shall we? Okay. First question, are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. Now, do you prefer iPhone or Android?
iPhone. So earlier I was on Android ecosystem, but now I'm all Apple. So yeah,
Oh,
iPhone is my go-to
how long were you on Android before you switched to Apple?
for like 20 years. Like
Damn.
since I like started using phone. So of course, it
Oh
was
my.
always Android. Nobody in my family were on Apple ecosystem.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's cool. So then you just made the hard switch. Like you're like, nope, done with Android.
yeah. And then that switch was smooth. Like now, I don't want to go back to Android at all.
Okay, next question. Do you prefer Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Mac, yes.
All right. And do you have a favorite programming language?
So currently, I don't. But earlier, I used to have JavaScript and Java.
Hmm.
And right now, during these days, I'm more working with YAML and JSON. So not a programming language, but yeah, this is what I'm currently dealing more with.
Yeah, yeah. YAML and JSON, you cannot get them out of your life no matter what.
Yeah,
Even if like you're doing software full time or you're like in the DevOps reliability space or
Mhm.
wherever, it's still there.
It's gonna be there every time. So yeah,
Okay, next one. Do you prefer dev or ops?
I think now I prefer ops. Yes.
All right, all right. And well, we'll get into this later, but I'm assuming you started off in dev.
Yeah, I started out in dev, like I was a web developer. So yeah, I was into the front end development more. But now I have now transitioned and got more into the DevOps side and operation side. So yeah, things have
Nice.
changed now.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, next question. Do you prefer JSON or YAML? Having to work with both of them in your day to day.
I think now I'm more comfortable with YAML. I think. I think that's
All
what
right.
it's more relevant for my work, writing all the manifests and all. So I think YAML.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I'm a fan of YAML. I know there's a lot of hate for YAML. It has irritating things about it, but I still love YAML. I find it more readable. Okay, next one. Do you prefer spaces or tabs?
I'm still used to spaces. I tried to do that muscle memory of using tabs, but I could not. So yeah, spaces it is.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Cool. And do you prefer to consume your content through video or text?
I think text because I think I'm able to consume that faster. So yeah, it makes more sense to me. But yeah, everyone has a personal preference.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally, totally. I'm with you. I've had a few people who are into video. I've mentioned many times on the podcast. My daughter is a video person, does not like reading, learns all sorts of interesting, cool things on YouTube. I'm definitely more of a tech gal myself as well. And finally, what is your superpower?
I think that's a good question. I think I have pondered upon it a couple of times. What makes me stand out, right? I think I tend to like connect with people easily. So if it's a room where people are from different age groups or different walks of life, I have this natural instinct of going up to them and saying, "Hey, how are you?" And then I can hold conversations with them. So I've often heard from my friends as well. I've often heard from others as well. And I think that power has definitely helped me in my journey as well because currently I talk to customers a lot, right? And you have to build that connection. So that is really important. So that has definitely helped me.
Yeah, that is a great superpower, and I definitely agree. I mean, we got to hang out a whole bunch at
Yeah,
KubeCon in London, and you and I had met a couple of times, like here and there through Marino. All roads lead to either Marino with Jay or Tim Banks. I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, we definitely hanged out a lot, and now we are like super connected. So this definitely helps in building relationships, building bonds with people on a more personal level as well. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it was great. It was so great hanging out with you in London and getting to chat. And I always think of you too whenever I take pictures when I'm in different places because you're like, why don't you take pictures of yourself anywhere? And I'm like, I don't like being
And
in
yeah, and then
pictures.
I forced you to take one picture.
You did. Yeah, you're like, I'm going to take one for you. You need to show your daughter that you've been here.
Yeah, exactly. We need the proof that you were here.
And I think this is a great segue to talk about, you getting your start in your career. You said that you started doing front end. So what led you into tech in the first place, and what specifically about front end dev was fun and cool for you?
Okay, so I think my tech journey has not been quite for too long. I've been here like working remotely for close to 3 years now. So
Yeah.
of course I started out with bachelor's in engineering, and to be honest, I was not really inclined towards tech. Um, like it was more like I felt that it's just like my laptop and me, and I didn't like that personal setting. I was missing that people aspect of it, which I was not familiar that there are tech communities out there as well. So I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to do tech. I will just complete my graduation and just do something else. So yeah,
Hmm.
I was not really passionate. But as you mentioned about front end, I'm like, I do have a creative bend of mind, and these are two paintings that I also made.
Oh
So
my God, they're so pretty! I did not realize you'd painted them. And for our audience who listens to the podcast, you're gonna have to check out the YouTube version of this so you can see Akansha's paintings.
yeah, so I think when I started exploring web development during my college classes, I liked it that whatever you are coding, you can see a visual aspect of it. So that
Hmm.
was my interest. That okay, if I ever happen to stay in tech, I will just continue with web development, right? But
Yeah.
so like if I so how I now am still in tech, that's the question, right?
Hmm.
So what happened like in my final of year of uni, I got to know about tech communities, and then I got involved with one of them and started contributing. And my one aspect of how I contributed was like sharing whatever I was doing with JavaScript on socials. So I was like every on an everyday basis, I was sharing whatever the concepts I was learning on Twitter. I was still
Oh.
very intimidated with LinkedIn because back then it was like very serious connections. And then I was thinking that maybe what they will judge me, and I was having that fear. So I was just restricting myself to Twitter and was not telling
Hmm.
anyone that hey, follow me on Twitter, because I didn't want them to see. It was just that, okay, I want to start doing learning in public and showing myself up more. And right. So
Hmm.
this is how my learning in public journey started. And I was obviously doing web development on the side. But this also brought my interest back into tech, that there are people out there to connect with, to make tech interesting, to talk about, to geek out about tech. So I still stayed in that field, and after a few months, I got my first tech job as a community manager. So I never
Oh,
knew
nice.
that there are different verticals in tech as well. It's just not
Hmm.
restricted to being a developer. So again, that exploration thing helped me, and I got into community management. There, I learned about um, the startup culture, the remote culture, and how to do social media more effectively. So these are some of the skills that I learned there. But after a few months, I felt that okay, now my growth is limited. I think I want to get more inclined towards the tech aspect. And then I took a hard decision of quitting. So it was a choice between golden handcuffs or exploring something new, and I took that decision and I did quit my job. But luckily, I got a scholarship to attend KubeCon Amsterdam in 2023. So I was all on the way to KubeCon Amsterdam. And I, of course, knew about DevRel as a role. I
Hmm.
got to know. So it was my very first conference, and I was really overwhelmed there because I think that was one of the biggest conference. About 10,000 to 12,000 people attended. It
Yeah,
was
massive.
really overwhelming, but I did have some goals, and one of the goals was to interact with people whom I connected with on Twitter, and also find out the DevRel people who are there in that profession and talk to them and take some advice that, hey, how can I transition into it, and whatever the advice they have for me. And I talked to so many, and so this was my idea of, and that was a turning point. Then after that, I came back, and Michael Friedrich from GitLab reached out to me. So he was really kind. He said that, hey, I would love to support you on your learning journey. And that was my entry point into the CNCF ecosystem.
Oh, wow. And
So
you had
that,
met him, did you know him already previously from Twitter, or did you meet
yes,
him at KubeCon?
I knew him from Twitter, but we met at KubeCon Amsterdam for the very first
Oh,
time.
nice.
We bumped into the hallway, and then he reached out. So he was really kind. And till this date, we do the coffee chats every month, most of the
Oh, wow.
time. Then
That's so
he,
cool.
yeah, and then he sees my learning progress, and he guided me a lot that, hey, this can be the starting points. Do Docker, then do Kubernetes and everything. So that really helped me to get started with a different technology and different tech domain, and it really brought my interest. After a couple of months, I did officially start as a DevRel. I got to transition into that, and I that was my previous job at Empathy Ops, where I was working with Marino, and it was a really good experience. Again, I met Marino at Amsterdam, and
Oh my God, seriously?
yeah, that was the
Wow.
first time we met, and that interaction led to that opportunity. And I have really learned a lot in that DevRel journey. I started doing Twitter Spaces. I started doing like YouTube recording hosting. Then I started doing technical writing. But a couple of milestones that were there in that journey was, first, I started going to conferences and started speaking. It is not my comfort zone. It still isn't my comfort zone. I've never been like a public speaker, like in my lifetime. And I remember that when in classes, whenever my teacher used to call me to say something, my legs used to tremble.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I always had that stage fear, and like even till this date I have tried to overcome it by going more up more often on the stage, so it has definitely reduced. So when my very first CFP got accepted at DevOps Days London, so it was a 5-minute Ignite talk, and I remember it because when I went up to the stage, there were around 300 to 400 people, and it was a different format. It was like auto slide, like 20 slides, and they were just,
Oh, yeah.
it was a tough one
That's
as well.
scary, that's scary.
That was scary for my first talk at a big conference. And um, and for a couple of seconds I did blanked out, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, oh no,
Oh,
timer
no.
is running, slides are moving, what to do? But everybody started clapping, and the organizers were cheering me, hey, you can do this. And I again got back to track. But that moment where everybody, like that gesture that this showed me, right, by being empathetic with me and showing that kindness towards me, was something I can never forget. And a lot of conferences does support first time speakers, so I really encourage people to go out of their comfort zones. I know imposter syndrome can kick in, but they should just, if you want to grow in your career, I think it's important to get to that edge and do something which like makes you hesitant to try out. So yeah, this was one milestone. The second milestone was being an CNCF ambassador. So of course, I got to know that I was quite doing a lot of DevRel things. So I was already contributing a lot in that ecosystem. And I thought that it was the community that brought me to what I was there today, that back then. So
Mhm.
why not try for it? And maybe my advice or my contributions can help someone else to get into that ecosystem. So that was the motivation. And I remember Marino said that, hey, that form is long, but put your heart and soul into it, right?
Yes.
And I
Did
actually did. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna ask, is this something that you thought of applying, on your own because 'cause you'd seen, like, CNCF ambassadors, or did someone encourage you? Like, what motivated you to apply?
I think I was already seeing on social that it is definitely a nice community. I had now become very comfortable with the CNCF ecosystem, and I
Mhm.
wanted to get into that niche circle of close knit circle of ambassadors as well. That was one of the motivations, but also it enables you with a lot of things, and it gives you access to a lot of network as well. You can, of course, I got via that community, I got to meet so many different ambassadors across the globe, which which is of course possible if you can just reach out as well, but then being an ambassador also gives that opportunity. So that was one thing, and I always obviously wanted to give back to the community by being the part of it. So
Mhm.
that was my motivation, and in the form I just shared all my journey, that how KubeCon was a life changing or turning point for me in my career. So I do want to give back. So that was one of the milestones. And the third was the conference. Of course, people don't realize that a lot goes behind the scenes when someone organizes a conference. It takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of time investment, right? And I really respect the hard work people put in, and at times it's out of their work hours as well. But I really appreciate all the organizers who put in and support these initiatives. So I organized my very first conference along with others, right? Marino is organizer for KubeHuddle, and I helped him in organizing that one in Toronto.
And
And
long distance you did that, right? Because you were like, you
you
live in
were
India
also
and
you
you
were
were
also part of the team as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it was my first time experiencing and how we, or like what goes behind the scenes, and I understood a lot of logistics and decision making, last minute changes. Yeah, so it's stressful but it's also fun. It's
Yes,
just
yes.
yeah, so yeah, I really liked it, and that was another first time thing which I did. And so yeah, these were some of the things, but I also would like to give a shout out to Marino, because of that trust that he showed me by giving me that opportunity. I learned a lot. And at times, like, he was kind enough to teach me things, because he knew that I'm new to that ecosystem, still that he put in that trust and confidence in me, and and enable me to make my decisions as well. So I really respect that and really appreciate. Until this date, he does put that he does give me advices whenever I need. So it really helps. At times you have two choices, and when you talk to people who have experience, they can give you that perspective which you might not have, and which might be closed for you, and you cannot think from that angle. But when talking to people who have been in this journey for so long, it really puts things into good perspective. And it's just not Marino. There are so many people I would like to mention, like Kat, Mark, even you have really helped me so much, so many times,
Oh,
even
thank
directly, even
you.
indirectly, right? Even with your spicy takes, even with your post that you put up on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's important that people call it out, because people restrict themselves. So these perspectives, it doesn't get unnoticed. I'm telling you, I read all of them. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And, I want to call out something that you mentioned that I think is so important because, especially as women in tech, it's so important for women to support other women, but it goes beyond that. And I think it's something that there's something else that you touched upon that we don't talk enough about, which is the importance of men supporting women in tech. Because that's, like it or not, I would say especially in tech, men come from a position of privilege. And
Yeah.
so to be able to use that privilege to help elevate someone, a non-man in tech, I think it speaks volumes. I think it's so important. I think it helps to improve the diversity of tech. And I think it also teaches other men in tech, hey, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really want to call that out.
Yeah, no, you really brought up a really nice point. I think tech is in general is like very male dominated, and I don't really expect only the women to support the women. I think it's a part of a bigger picture, and everybody who is part of it should do their contribution by supporting and elevating the other women as well. um, but at times I feel, or I have experienced that not all women are really supportive of other women, and I
Yeah.
never understand why. Because I think maybe I think whenever I make women friends, I go out of my way to support them. And one of my friends is, of course, Emily. So
Yes.
when I was doing job hunting and all, she did sit with me on a call and explain to me what solution engineering or what customer success as a role is. So, and even in my achievements, she shows her excitement, and that really motivates me. And there should be women like these in our ecosystem, and they should support. So these friendships goes a long way, and we should not try to bring someone down.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's so important. And yes, I love your shout out to Emily. Emily is great, and her enthusiasm is unparalleled. It's and she also, speaking of CNCF ambassadorship, like she and I were chatting, and I had suggested for her to apply, and she got in, and I'm like super excited that
Yes.
she got accepted as well. And yeah, like supporting women is so so important, because like you said, like it kind of it breaks my brain when you have women not supporting women. I've gotten burned by like really bad female bosses in the
Yeah.
past, and one could argue that that kind of thing is enough to like scar you and make you want to turn against other women, because it's like, oh, she was a bitch to me, I'm going to be a bitch to everyone else. But I'm of the same school of thought as you, where like I see, a woman, whether she's like been around tech for a while or is new to tech, and I have something to offer, and I want to like be able to do what I can to like empower her,
Yeah.
and help her be awesome, like, because I think we need like we need more kindness in this world. There's too much ick in this world, and we need more of that good stuff. So
I think I find a different joy when one of my female friends is doing something great. I get so excited for them, right? So I don't know like
yeah.
why people do the opposite, but okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think cloud native was also like, there's something about the cloud native community that is just extra supportive. Like, I come from like super corporate world where like you were almost discouraged to be yourself. It's like, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't act this way, you can't act that way. And so like you're being suppressed. And then you come into cloud native, and like we celebrate each other's differences. We celebrate the diversity, and like that for me, like working in cloud native was where I first got a chance to meet like actual other badass women in tech. I'm like, my people, this is where you've been hiding this whole time. So I get excited seeing other women that I can learn from and be inspired by.
Yes. And another point, just to connect with this, that I love when women dress up and all they do makeup stuff at conferences. Like it is like so nice to see doing that, all showing their fashion sense. And I get inspired to do the same as well.
Yes.
I see
Yes.
Hazel's posts every now and then, and she does amazing job at
Yes.
it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hazel like just takes it up like this extra notch of awesome where she is like, I am going to dress the shit out of this conference, and she'll like show up. I love it. Like for those who have not seen Hazel speak at a conference, she will show up in a ball gown, dressed to the nines, and just owning the stage. And it
Yeah.
is absolutely lovely. And I love that too. I'm same as you. Like I used to dress down for conferences, and to be fair, like we are not saying like you have to dress up for a
Yeah.
conference if you're a girl. No, no, no. We're just saying don't be afraid. If you like to dress up for a conference, dress up for a conference. If you want to feel pretty, go ahead and feel pretty
Yeah.
in the way that makes you feel pretty, right? Whether it's dressing up, dressing down, wearing a ball gown, wearing funky makeup, like yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true because at times I've been to some meetups and conferences, and then my guy friends would say that, hey, that's not like a appropriate dress for a conference. I was like, no, I will still dress up. It's my
Yeah,
choice, and I
totally.
will do that
Totally.
because it boosts my confidence as well. So I like doing it.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
know. I love wearing my pretty shoes to my conference.
I, I,
To my
I love
conference
those pretty
appearances.
shoes. I think it has been
I
more
have Tim Banks to thank for that because after the last KubeHuddle, we went shopping,
yeah, I remember.
and they took me shoe shopping, and I picked out some two pairs of glamorous conference shoes that I always pack in my bag now whenever I speak. So
Those are your lucky heels.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're just enough for me to walk on stage and walk off. Like any extended walking, like my feet are not made for that. I am definitely through and through a flat shoes girl, but I do like to put on my fancy heels on stage, and it makes me feel lovely. And I do want to touch upon a point that you made about like getting some flack from some guys about like dressing up for a conference, not feeling and not being quote unquote appropriate, because I've actually noticed for myself
Mhm.
when I started dressing up for conferences, I almost got a feeling that like in some ways, like some people don't take you as seriously when you dress up because it's like, oh my God, it's like Barbie. Barbie is speaking at the conference, and it's like, and you know what? I'm just like, I don't care. And same as you, right? It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do whatever I want,
I
and I'm
think
gonna dress up.
I don't know why do they have this preconceived notion that if they are dressing up, they are probably might be from the marketing or they
Yeah,
know high technical stuff. Like I never
exactly.
understand it, but I think that's how society mindset has been built in over the
Yeah,
years. But
yeah. Unfortunately.
that shift needs to take place, and people should do whatever they like regardless of what the society thinks.
Exactly. Dress however it makes you feel comfortable, and if it's a ball gown, then so be it. If it's like a loose fitting t-shirt and baggy jeans, then so be it. You do you.
Yes. So,
Uh,
this
yeah,
was my DevRel journey for like 1.5 years. I really enjoyed it, but
you've done a lot. You've done a lot in a short period of time, and let's celebrate that because like that is incredible.
thank you. To be honest, I never expected myself to take like the things will change so differently for me because I never saw myself in tech like when I started out. So all my stepping stones, all my decisions carved a unique path for me, right? And I think
Yeah.
everyone's life path, like their career path, is different and unique. So so yeah, this was it, and after that things took a different turn. Like I was doing
Mhm.
job hunt, and you are aware of that. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, so it was a tough experience, but I think I learned a lot from it. And if it happens again with me, that if I have to do a job hunt, I know how to do it because
Yeah. Yeah.
it has given me that experience, how to approach people, how to show up myself more if I'm actively looking for a job, how to reach out to your connections or the companies you're looking forward to. But this job hunt also brought me to think that is there something else I can do, right? Is there
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
broader horizon that I can think of? Of course, DevRel was something I still still like, right? But then I
Yeah.
also like, of course, Marino advised me that hey, you could look into something solutions engineering or roles
Mm-hmm.
like customer success. And that came to my mind before. I was like, yeah, that is also a fine balance between tech and people, and that's something I enjoy.
Yeah, and it's
So
DevRel adjacent, right?
yes, it's DevRel adjacent, right? So I started exploring that, and again, a tough decision that should I go to KubeCon London or not, because it will be a big expense on my pocket.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
right. That's right. And remind me, were you speaking at this past KubeCon London, or were you just did you just go as an attendee?
I did go as an attendee. I think I wanted to take that chance, that maybe that chance could bring something out of it, and
Mhm.
I did go for it. And I'm glad that I did, because my current role, I got it via KubeCon London.
Right on, right on. And I I was thinking to myself about our time together at KubeCon, where we were hanging out a bunch, and I'd introduce you to people, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, "And
Yes.
she's looking for a job.
Yes. No, no, I really
Hire her."
appreciate that, because I really appreciate that. And I think it was not only you were doing in front of me, but you were also advocating for me in the rooms I was not in, right?
Hmm.
There were so
Hmm.
many people who were doing that for me, and I remember everything. And I will always be grateful for that, because these are like very small gestures, but it goes a long way, right?
Oh, I'm so glad! Yay!
So I really appreciate all those people who helped me in that tough time, who checked in with me how I'm doing, because of course there were moments where I was breaking down, but then you have to again buckle up, that hey, no, you have to keep going. It's just like one yes you want, right? At
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end of the day.
totally. Yeah, yeah.
So
And you know, I do want to pause for a second there and sit on that for a second, because I think we don't have enough discussions about like how stressful it is to look for a job, and that like, you know, when people post on LinkedIn like, "Oh, I'm looking for a new role," and it's like all cheery and stuff, but like behind the scenes you're like bawling your eyes out, you're crying, you're stressed, and nobody talks about it, and we need to acknowledge that too. So I definitely appreciate you mentioning that as well, because yeah, there are humans behind the people, behind the cheery posts, and the, you know, behind the job hunters, right?
yeah, and not and I think of course luck plays a important factor as well, and also like being at the right place at the right timing for that opportunity also plays a factor. But you will have to play with that chances. You have will have to keep trying different things. What might work for someone else might not work for you. But um, I can empathize with people who are actively trying to find a job, because I have gone through that experience. And I can only say that just don't lose hope and keep on trying. I think tech is for everyone, and from people from different skill sets can find a place in tech, and it is really welcoming. It's not just only the CNCF ecosystem. There are so many different communities that you can be part of. You can actively go. I see that web community which Danny has built, right? I see a lot of developers going for that one. That's a
Well, which one
different
are you referring to?
code to commit, I think.
Code to commit. Oh, okay, cool. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes for anyone who's interested in learning more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I think that's important to call out as well. Like, yeah, cloud native community is wonderful, but yes, there is more than just cloud native, and definitely lots of areas to explore. And I you know, I want to say also like, good on you for making like such a bold decision to attend KubeCon, um, knowing at the time like you were unemployed, but like betting on the fact that the cost of attending the conference was worth it for the networking opportunity, because
yeah,
I mean, a conference like KubeCon is so massive.
yeah,
So there's like so many people to meet. And as you said, like as an ambassador, you get to tap into that ambassador network as well. But I would say also, like, super importantly, and this actually goes in nicely with something that one of my past guests said, um, is making the most out of your conference, like making sure that you have like that follow through, the follow up with the people that you've met at the conference, or with regards to things that you've learned at the conference, so that you make it worthwhile. Because if you're just attending and then you're not really getting anything out of it, and you don't plan to do anything with what you've learned with the people you've met, then it ends up being kind of a waste, right? But you didn't just attend, you made good use of it.
Yes, definitely important, and I think people see networking as transactional thing, but I don't.
Hmm.
I think for me, networking is building that, like, a connection with them, which is just personal to them. Like, everybody has different advices, different bond, right? So I
Yeah, yeah,
try to go beyond that surface level conversations, right? And just you can't just go up to them and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
build that
yeah,
connection
exactly.
over time. So
Exactly. And you made a really good point here, because I do find, like, I remember being at a meetup in Toronto, and I think I had moderated an AI panel at a meetup in Toronto. It was for Toronto Tech Week. I remember this guy comes up to me afterwards and starts, like, just listing off his credentials and then asking me to, like, basically find him a job. And it's like, this is not the approach, buddy. I'm
yeah,
like, I don't know you. I can't refer to you for a job if I don't know you, right? You can't just walk up to people, list off your resume, and expect that I'm going to be impressed. like, like you said, you have to make that human connection, because otherwise, like, what are
yeah,
you doing?
yeah. It's a wrong expectations from networking. People think it is. I think
Hmm.
people don't really understand what networking actually means, and they forget
Yeah,
the human aspect of it. Of course, it
yeah,
takes time. Of course, it takes a couple of conversations, a couple of, like, meeting as well. But it's
yeah.
important that you are not doing only this for a favor in return.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think, and that's a really important point as well, because I think a lot of people going into, like, conferences and meetups, and they're like, I'm gonna network, and I expect to walk out of there with a job. And it's a long game, as you said. It's like over the course of several meetings, and it's like establishing a relationship and establishing trust, and it's not going to happen overnight, because it's not how people operate. You need to develop that rapport, right?
Yeah, and I think for me, the job hunt experience was kind of easy in the sense, I had stopped applying on the application forms. It was like too frustrating to just,
Yeah,
because you just get that automated response emails, rejection email,
yeah, yeah,
right? So, like, I did put a post, but it was not like that, hey, I'm looking for a job, but it was more like that, hey,
yeah,
this has been my journey, and this has been my key things
yeah.
that I've done. And I'm trying to explore in these different verticals. And I would love if you know. And that's how I got reached out by a lot of companies, and I got a lot of back-to-back interviews. So,
Oh, that's so
so
cool. And you posted that on
yes,
LinkedIn?
yes, I did.
Ah, and there you and then you made LinkedIn work for you.
Yes. So
Which isn't it amazing? Like, you were saying in the beginning how, like, you were too shy to use LinkedIn, and Twitter was kind of your gateway. And now, like, you've learned to leverage LinkedIn to your advantage, to foster those connections, which is,
yes,
I
I
think,
think
really
it was
cool.
1 year back. I was like, I don't give a fuck what people think. I will also post on
Yeah,
LinkedIn. And now I use LinkedIn more than Twitter.
hell yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I find, like, I get most of my traction on LinkedIn more than anything, and it's been like that since the beginning for me, which I'm very grateful for that. I think it's amazing when people, like, interact with my posts,
Yeah.
find what I have to say interesting. So yeah, yay LinkedIn.
Yeah. So And one more thing that I think my transition from DevRel to now, so I work as a solution architect now at my current company, Dash Zero. So where I handle the pre-sales and the customer success angle of the customers, like the whole customer journey. And it's nice
Yeah.
because you are helping them enable the technology, how to use the platform better with their use cases, and also supporting them whenever they are struggling. So I like that different aspect, and I'm learning a lot in this kind of role as well. But what I often see up in this role that there are not a lot of women. So I
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
go to prospects calls, and there would be like around 12 to 15 men, and I'm like the only woman out there giving them a demo or talking technical stuff
Oh
with
my
them.
goodness.
It's really intimidating, but I think I do want to make that awareness among other women in this ecosystem that you should definitely see and check out this role. It's interesting, and if you like a balance between interacting with customers, with people, and doing tech stuff as well, this is an interesting direction you can take into as well. And also I've not
Yeah.
left the community things. Of course, I've become a little less active because I wanted to observability as a domain is new for me. But there's every day there is so much to learn, and that domain in general is like so vast. But again, it's a very active hotel 6 community. I've also joined the channel of hotel community on the Slack. So I do see people
Oh,
ask so many
yay.
questions, and the maintainers and the people who are active contributors help them. So that is also a learning things I do on a daily basis. But I still apply for conferences, and my company supports that. And I really appreciate that they do still support my community as things that I love to do and help and are helping me in my growth.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah. Because I think roles like solutions engineer, customer success engineer, because they're not as public facing, shall we say, as DevRel. I think a lot of organizations do tend to not necessarily, as you said, um, support those folks in terms of attending conferences. So I think it's really great that your company is supporting that. And I wanted to ask as well, like, because you mentioned like observability is new for you, and previously like you were more focused on, I want to say, the Kubernetes side
Yeah.
of things. Is that correct? And so how like that's kind of a big pivot, and to be able to get a job in an area that's completely new, like what did you have to do to like wow and amaze the folks at Dash Zero to say, hey, like, yes, she's the one, like, especially as an observability novice.
Yeah, so I think when I went to the conference, I went to the booth, and I was like, "Hey, this has been my journey, and I'm exploring roles like solutions engineering, customer success." I knew that job opening was not open because I didn't see it in the
Mm.
in the careers page. But then
Hmm.
they said that, "Hey, we want to expand, and we would love to interview you." So of course, they had a discovery call with me, like that was the first step, and
Hmm.
then they asked like what has been your journey. I was like, I've not been in the observability space, I just know high level overview, but I've been more active in the Kubernetes ecosystem, and I've given certifications exams like CKA, KCNA. So I can do hands-on stuff, I can understand things. So then they're like, okay, we will do a technical interview with you and see how things go. um, and that
Okay.
interview was about all about open telemetry and observability, and I had like a 1 week's time. And trust me, I was like, I had my aim at dash zero. I was like, I have to get into this,
Yeah.
even though I had a lot of other interviews lined up as well. But I think it was important to bring my focus as intention to one goal, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I was putting a lot of my time and effort, and trust me, who have contributed to the hotel docs, it was like really nice. I studied from that. I didn't see any video or any
Amazing.
blogs. I that documentation was really helpful. I scanned from top to the bottom every single day and learned different topics. And I made an Excel draw of all the things that I learned. And I tried different POCs. So my friends from the different observability companies, I reached out to them that, hey, I would like to do some POCs. If you could guide me some with some tutorial that I should try. So I was doing hands-on stuff so that I can explain them the concepts much better when they ask in the interview. So that was my preparation. I really did put in a lot of hard
Damn.
efforts for it because I really wanted to get in. And during the interviewers, of course, really impressed. And then and then they asked that, how did you prepare for this interview?
Yeah.
Because it's such a short span and you learn so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And then I showed my Exali draw that, hey, see, this is how I was so excited to learn this new domain. But I remember I told them at the end of the interview that even if I don't make it, it's okay, because I finally found an interest space that I want to get
Yeah.
into. Because earlier I was kind of generalized. I didn't have a niche. I was seeing security, I was seeing networking, observability, and all the
Yeah.
things, but I never found a niche. And I really wanted to find a niche which really interested me to get more deeper into. And preparing for that interview brought my interest. And I was like, okay, even if I don't make it, I will get into something observability I would like to try out.
Yeah.
So that's an exploring angle that brought my interest in observability. And the last round was a case study interview.
Hmm.
So they gave me a case study that, okay, this is a customer situation. They have these things that they are using. Now, how you gonna pitch the platform and how you gonna enable them? So yeah, so I prepared for it. It was again intimidating. It was more intimidating than the technical interview, but I really did put a lot of effort in preparing for that demo, and they really liked the conversation, that how conversational it
Yeah.
was, and how I was linking their questions with the demo. Because it's not like in the customer demos, it's not like it's just one
Yeah.
flow. They can interrupt you. They can have different use
Yeah.
cases. Then you have to think on the spot, like what to show, what not to show, so that their interest is still there and they're not bored.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. I mean, it sounds like it was so well deserved. I mean, you put everything into this interview and you kicked ass. This is so great. This is such a lovely story to hear. And I think it's so
Thank
inspiring for folks who are, on the job hunt, who are starting out their careers. I mean, even within like tech, you have pivoted areas of expertise and job roles. And I think it's incredible that you've accomplished all this. For someone who hasn't been in tech that long, I think like these are amazing accomplishments. And I honestly can't wait to see what else you do. This has been really, really cool. We are coming up on time, but before we go, do you have any either parting words of wisdom or hot takes that you would like to share?
So, as a parting words of wisdom, I think I would say that tech is for everyone, and everyone can find their space with different skill sets. You just need to explore. There is a lot of things to do in tech, and just not very. It's a very broad ecosystem. And the second thing I would say that, like, please be empathetic and kind towards other people. Life is short, and your short, like, small gesture of kindness goes a long way. So I would say that being empathetic and kind towards other is something bare minimum a human can do for the other
Yeah,
human.
absolutely. Awesome. Well, this is
Yeah.
great. This has been great. I think it's so cool to like see to learn about your journey and to see what all the things that have inspired you and all the people who have brought you to where you are now. So I definitely appreciate you sharing your story with everyone. So thank you so much, Akansha, for geeking out with me today. And y'all don't forget to subscribe and be sure to check the show notes for additional resources and to connect with us and our guests on social media. Until next time.
Peace out and kick out.
Geeking Out is hosted and produced by me, Adriana Vilela. I also compose and perform the theme music on my trusty clarinet. Geeking Out is also produced by my daughter, Hannah Maxwell, who incidentally designed all of the cool graphics. Be sure to follow us on all the socials by going to bio.site/geekingout.